You're feeling frustrated because the images you create look too smooth and unrealistic. Well, forget about that because now you've got Flux Krea. This model delivers jaw-droppingly realistic images with detailed, natural human skin that feels completely authentic. Every wrinkle, pigment, and light reflection on a face is captured perfectly, like a true photographic masterpiece. Hey there, everyone. I'm so tight. Flux Krea just dropped, and it's making waves with its ability to generate even more realistic images. A huge step up from the previous Flux 1 dev model. What's super cool is that this model is open source, and you can run it on your own computer for free using ComfyUI. So today, I'm going to walk you through how to use this workflow on your PC, the strengths and weaknesses of the model, and a few tips to help you make the most of it. Alright, let's dive in. First, let me quickly introduce you to Flux Krea and why it can create more photorealistic images. Flux Krea is an open-source image generation model developed in collaboration by Black Forest Labs and Crea AI. With the goal of producing images that are both highly aesthetic and realistic, it's trained on a carefully labeled dataset curated using an in-house aesthetic scoring standard. To get a strong pre-trained base for post-training on this dataset, Crea AI built on Flux 1 Dev Raw, the general-purpose version of Flux 1 Dev before fine-tuning. So Flux Krea is fully compatible with the broader Flux 1 Dev ecosystem. Alright, let's dive in and experiment with building a Flux Krea workflow and see how it performs. This is the familiar Flux 1 Dev workflow I've shared in my previous videos. You can check out the detailed breakdown of how I built it and my in-depth explanation right here. As I mentioned earlier, Flux Krea is based on Flux 1 Dev, so you can totally use this workflow with Flux Krea by simply swapping out the Flux 1 Dev model here. That's all it takes to get a workflow for Flux Krea. Now, I'll hit run and check if the workflow performs smoothly. Sweet, we got the results in no time. This is the actual speed of the workflow running on my computer. And I didn't tweak anything. As you can see, it's all good. I've got an image that perfectly matches the prompt, a woman sitting in the living room, and it looks super realistic, just like the Flux Krea demo we checked out. So, the workflow I built is working like a charm. Okay, let's dig a bit deeper into what Flux Krea can do by comparing its quality with Flux 1 Dev to spot the differences between these two models. Can Flux Krea really step up as a replacement for Flux 1 Dev? What are its strengths and weaknesses? Let's find out together. I'm going to set up a Flux 1 Dev workflow right here so everyone can follow along easily. We'll have a diffusion load node right here. For a fair comparison, I'll also use Flux 1 Float 8 to match the Flux Krea Float 8 model that's already loaded up above. And of course, this model will take prompts and sampling rate parameters similar to Flux Krea. We just need to copy the nodes over here. And I'll place the two output images side by side so we can compare them easily. For convenience, I'll rename the nodes here to Flux Krea and Flux 1 Dev. Everything's all set now, so I'll test the quality of these two models across different prompt scenarios to see how they perform. As you can see, I've already listed 6 prompts for testing here. Each prompt is designed to evaluate different aspects. First, I'll check the realism of the two models in recreating human skin details, wrinkles, and the harmony between the character and the surrounding environment. You can check out the detailed prompt here. And here's how the results will look. Honestly, Flux Dev does a solid job with portraits, facial details are clear, and the lighting's pretty on point. But there's still that overly smooth, plastic skin vibe we've seen before. Switch to Flux Krea, though, and it's like a whole new level. The skin texture, every tiny wrinkle. It's all so sharp and refined. When I zoom in, the pixel detail, the consistency of those fine lines, and the way the light plays across the face. It genuinely feels like a real portrait photo. The eyes are what really stand out. With Flux Krea, there's this emotional depth in them that just hits you, while Flux Dev's eyes feel kind of empty. Plus, Flux Dev still messes up the hands in the portrait. When it comes to human portraits, Flux Krea is hands down way better than Flux Dev. It's seriously a huge step up. Alright, let's move on to the second test. This time, besides evaluating the skin, I'll also take a close look at the hand's anatomy during complex movements and how well the character blends with their surroundings. You can check out the prompt here. And let's see how the results turn out. Both models still accurately follow the prompt we provided, just like in test 1, but the quality of the output isn't quite as impressive. With Flux Dev, you can clearly see some issues with the fingers here and here. The violin also has obvious flaws, like the missing neck, which stands out. The lighting is pretty reasonable, but the blur is overly smooth, giving me the vibe that the image has been touched up with post-processing software. On the Flux Krea model, the fingers are generated more accurately, though you can still spot minor errors here and there. The lighting is nicely balanced across the image, and the blur has subtle ripples, which feels more refined compared to the overly smooth style of Flux Dev overall. When it comes to scenarios requiring precise finger positioning, both models fall a bit short. This is a common issue for Flux Dev, and since Flux Krea was trained on Flux Dev Raw, it doesn't fully overcome this problem either. That said, in terms of overall aesthetics, Flux Krea still comes out on top, delivering results that look more natural, like a real photograph. Alright, let's dive into test case number 3. This time, I'm putting Flux Krea to the test to check its anatomical accuracy with a specific full-body scenario, generating an image of a ballet dancer in an arabesque pose. Let's see how it turns out. In this test case, Flux Dev falls short, failing to accurately capture the arabesque pose of the ballet dancer as described in the prompt. The generated image shows an incorrect pose, with a major error in the right foot being flipped backward, disproportionate shoulder ratios, and the familiar finger issues still popping up, all of which make the image feel less realistic. These problems highlight Flux Dev's struggle with handling complex anatomical details and specific ballet poses. On the other hand, Flux Krea shines by nailing the arabesque pose as requested. The muscle groups are placed accurately, and the joints, like the knees and feet, are aligned properly with the dancer's pose, giving a natural and anatomically correct feel. That said, Flux Krea still has the same finger errors as Flux Dev, showing that this is a shared limitation for both models. Clearly, in this test case, Flux Krea outperforms Flux Dev in generating a human body with high anatomical and positional accuracy, though it still needs some work on those hand details. Alright, we've wrapped up testing Flux Krea's performance with human images, and now it's time to switch gears and explore some other scenarios. The next test case is all about checking how well the models can generate images in different styles, specifically a cartoon style. The prompt is simple. Create an image of a panda riding a bicycle in the style of Pixar animation. Let's see how the two models stack up. Both Flux.1 Dev and Flux Krea deliver pretty similar results when switching to an anime style, with images that nicely match the prompt of a panda riding a bicycle, capturing the pedaling motion accurately and reasonably. However, both models share the same flaw. The bike's pedals are missing, which takes away from the overall polish of the image. In terms of style and vibe, Flux Krea produces sharper, more detailed images with a bit of texture, giving a crisp but sometimes slightly stiff feel. On the other hand, Flux.1 Dev brings a softer, gentler vibe that feels more in line with the animated style, thanks to its smoother lines and colors. For this scenario, Flux.1 Dev seems better suited if you're aiming for that light, characteristic anime feel, compared to Flux Krea's focus on detail and sharpness. In summary, both models handle the anime style and pose well, but Flux.1 Dev stands out for its softer vibe, while Flux Krea takes the lead in sharpness. The lack of polish in surrounding details remains a common weakness that needs improvement. Next up, I'm going to test the text generation capabilities of both solutions. I want to focus on this aspect because it's a strength of Flux.1 Dev compared to earlier models like Stable Diffusion or SDXL. Let's see if Flux Krea retains this feature or if its different training data has impacted it. Here we go. Oh, as you can see, Flux Krea can still generate text in images fairly accurately, but as you pointed out, it seems its focus on aesthetic-driven data has taken a bit of a toll. You can see it in the two welcome letters here, and down below, the smaller characters are a bit wonky and not quite reliable. Meanwhile, Flux.1 Dev nails the text welcome to Neo Tokyo perfectly, and even the smaller text on the background sign comes out solid, though it's not exactly meaningful. All in all, Flux Krea's text generation is still functional, but it struggles with smaller text compared to Flux.1 Dev. This is likely because of the aesthetic-focused training data, as the creators have noted. And finally, I'm going to test how well both solutions handle a complex prompt with multiple subjects to see if they can accurately match the input. Here's the specific prompt: a female drummer with dreadlocks and vibrant streetwear, a male guitarist with a leather jacket and sunglasses, and a non-binary vocalist in a flowing bohemian outfit holding a microphone. Let's check out whether Flux Krea outshines Flux.1 Dev in this scenario. In this challenge, Flux Krea clearly outshines Flux.1 Dev when it comes to matching the prompt. Flux.1 Dev struggles to deliver, as the characters it generates lack diversity, all sporting similar features like dreadlocks and a bohemian style with signature necklaces, which erases the individuality of each character. Plus, the background in Flux.1 Dev misses the graffiti details from the prompt, and the overall image style feels off, lacking the realistic vibe we were hoping for. On the flip side, Flux Krea nails the prompt, creating characters with distinct traits exactly as described, without any blending of their features. The background, complete with accurate graffiti and well-handled streetlight effects, feels vibrant and true to life. That said, Flux Krea still has some artifact issues that slightly impact the finer details of the image. All in all, when it comes to nailing the prompt, Flux Krea is the clear winner over Flux.1 Dev, especially in accurately capturing character details, background, and overall style, though it could still use some tweaking to minimize those artifacts. Alright, so I've shown you how Flux Krea stacks up against Flux.1 Dev. Now, I'll walk you through a few tips and tricks to help you use Flux Krea effectively for your goals. First up, let's talk about reducing VRAM requirements. As I mentioned in the Flux.1 Dev video, using GGUF quantized models can significantly cut down on VRAM usage while only sacrificing a small amount of quality. For example, when I use Flux Krea Float 8, I need up to 15 gigabytes to run this workflow. We've got some Flux Krea models provided by QuantStack right here. I'm going to try the smallest one, Q2, and see how much VRAM it requires. Let's check it out. You see that? I got image quality pretty close to the Float 8 model, but now I'm only using about 7 gigabytes of VRAM. That's nearly 8 gigabytes less than the original workflow. You can play around with different GGUF versions of Flux Krea to find the one that suits your setup while still keeping the quality you're aiming for. And the second trick I want to share with you is LoRA. As I mentioned, since Flux Krea is built on Flux.1 Dev Raw, any models trained for Flux.1 Dev, like LoRA, can be used with Flux Krea. For example, here I can use the LoRA model Flux 1 Turbo Alpha, trained on Flux.1 Dev, to help Flux Krea generate an image in just 8 steps. Everything's working like a charm. As you can see here, when I combine Flux Krea with the LoRA from Flux.1 Dev, the output quality stays solid, and now I can generate images in just 8 steps. Super convenient. And the final trick I want to cover in this video is consistent character. Of course, it's not just limited to LoRA models. You can also use Flux Krea with PooLid or InfiniteU, the consistent character solutions I've walked through in previous videos. For example, in the PooLid workflow, all I need to do is swap out the Flux.1 Dev model for Flux Krea, and I'll get new results without compromising on quality. You see that? The new image perfectly maintains the character's identity, matching the reference image I provided. And if you take a closer look, you'll notice Flux Krea's vibe shining through in the background textures and vibrant, realistic colors. Flux Krea takes consistent character workflows to a new level of realism without compromising the original quality. And that's a wrap. I've walked you through Flux Krea, a model that takes Flux.1 Dev to the next level. I hope you watched the whole video to catch all my tips and tricks. If you found this video helpful, please give it a like and share it so more people can discover my content. Thanks a bunch. Catch you later. Bye for now.